when the lane moving fast. Hey, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss. Hey.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I got a very special guest, and I'm going to bring him up here in a second. But I do just want to drop my little weekly reminder that Wednesday is newsletter day. So if you want to get in on the Freight Coach newsletter, it only drops on Wednesdays, and I will not automatically sign you up for it, because I really get annoyed when I get like 18 new newsletters drop up in my email inbox. I'm like, A, how did you get my email address? But B, who are you? So if you want to get in on it, you guys, we just talk about freight at the end of the day. All right. I'm not a life coach or anything like that. If you just want to go to thefreightcoach.com, though, it will auto prompt you to register on there. It's just a couple of quick steps. And again, I don't sell out your email address, frankly, because I don't even know where all of this stuff is stored. My marketing team does that. So yeah, you guys, trust me, your email address is safe with me. But speaking of being safe, we're going to talk about cargo safety and security and all of that fun stuff today, because this is just a nonstop topic of conversation right now. It's getting a ton of traction on Capitol Hill and everything. And there's no better time to continue to talk about this and what you can do inside of your organization. So I got Mr. Nick Erdmann back on the show with Vectura Risk Management. So Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
No, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's been like a year to the day. I was actually looking back through my old notes, and I'm like, dude, it's been a literal year since you were on the show last. And, you know, we're in a new role and everything here. And, you know, when I had saw that you had jumped over here, and then I started looking into your company a little bit, I'm like, A, this is very unique. Like, I don't personally know of anything else out there on the market that comes down and kind of really attacks it like you guys do. But you know, I'll stop here and kind of let you tell, like, what is Vectura Risk Management? What are you guys out there trying to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in this space for a little bit over 20 years. So it's I started when I was little, but as far as security and supply chain security, I just can't get out of it. So my previous company, we did physical security locking devices, and this opportunity to work with the Vectura Risk Management strictly on doing cargo security escorts for high value, high risk freight kind of came about, and we're kind of helping grow this company a little bit more and work with those high value pharma, electronics. Those, it's something that's not for everybody, but we do a little bit of cargo escort security assessments for warehouses and those kind of things. So kind of a full gambit of kind of that layered security, like you kind of said. Cargo theft is not going away, unfortunately, but it's probably the worst I've seen it in my entire career. So I think it's needs to be addressed, and we're one of the layers that kind of goes in there to prevent the theft.
So are you guys the guys in the cool Humvees that are following around those trucks that you see that make it to the internet occasionally?
We go nondescript.
Dude, those are the ones that, like, because I obviously kind of eat, sleep, and breathe this industry, and I like to follow companies from kind of all facets of freight. And, you know, dude, I'm just a little kid at heart when it comes to trucks. Like, I love trucks. Obviously, my dad drove. I like, anytime I hear a Jake break, I get excited. And some of these guys that I see out there moving some of this high value cargo, like it is, man, it's like literal Secret Service protection. There's like 4 black SUVs in front and back, armed guards, like it's intense. And I'm like, that right there, man, I love that stuff. And it is such a different facet because, you know, sometimes, man, we get so caught up in our day-to-day, Nick, and like what we're doing that like we fail to realize that like literal missiles and stuff like that are transported via truck. Life-saving vaccines are transported via truck. And I've had some of those carriers on the show in the past who've come on and, you know, who just do medical grade expedited shipments. And dude, it's a wild world out there, man. And it's another one of those reasons why I'm so much like, you guys just got to choose a niche. Like there's so much opportunity that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, like you said, you know, trucks, if you're our laptops, our seats that we're sitting in, you know, everything's been brought by truck. So if you're in an office, 100% of the stuff has been brought by truck. So, and those, like you said, the life-saving vaccines, those kind of things, the high value things that need, you know, sensitive, you know, it's not even high value. Sometimes it's the sensitive nature of whatever the product is, needs to get from point A to point B. And, you know, we work with the trucking companies and the shippers to maintain that integrity throughout that entire trip. And that's where really kind of we're that small piece in the supply chain that kind of keeps it going, since the supply chain is moving so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, making sure that, you know, you have that security and that safety built in there.
Yeah, my you know, I obviously I've been doing this for, you know, a couple of days at this point, and my thoughts are when it comes down with cargo theft and where we are at. And again, I want to be abundantly clear, you guys. This is just my opinion, Chris Strawley's opinion only on this. I feel like it is a lot more organized than people think, and I feel like 99% of it starts at the shipper. Like I really do. Just in my, you know, obviously, unfortunately, when you do this job as long as I have, you've had truckloads stolen before, you've had stuff happen. And I think what really kind of clarified it to me, and I know I've talked about this on the show previously, Nick, is every time I saw in like 2020 and 2021, the rail cars that were somehow with TVs getting popped in downtown, like Los Angeles, I think is where it was. And I'm like, that's when it all started. I'm like, dude, this is way more organized than people think. Cause there's like, that's not a random guess. Like, dude, I was just stopped at the train crossing this morning and there was like 800 cars that were on there and 400 of them were containers. You're telling me they just happened to guess the right one? So it's like, I see a lot of it. And I feel like that's where you got to start for the most part. And I think obviously it goes out from there, but you know, let's talk about what you guys are doing from it. Like what are cargo escorts? Like what do they do? Who typically uses them, and kind of how does that rollout work?
Yeah, cargo escorts typically we'll work directly with the shipper. We'll work with a logistics company, obviously, as well, that's working with the shipper on behalf of the shipper. But starting from point A to point B, right? So we our folks, it's always two people that you know, come in, check all the paperwork, that, you know, understanding the paperwork that's going along with the shipment, verifying it all, making sure that it's all good, making sure that the product is in the back of the trailer's locked and sealed with the right seal numbers. Everything's documented by a picture, sent to our operations center, and then once that's all verified, then we move along, making sure the drivers and the truck and the trailer are the exact truck and trailer that the shipper is expecting. Again, notifying, notarying all that information as far as, you know, that is verified, and then having that move along. So then we escort that load the entire journey, whether that's a 4-hour trip or a 10-hour trip, or, you know, cross country. So and we are entire, you know, most high value always has team drivers. So it's never going to stop unless, you know, just for fuel and for driver switches. But our drivers stay in view of the asset the entire time.
Gotcha. So you guys are, you know, obviously without giving away any proprietary, you know, secrets or anything like that. So there's like a digital monitoring and then like a physical monitoring that kind of comes along with it. And, because I've moved some high value cargo in my career, Nick, and, the loading instructions were, very clearly laid out, right? Like obviously there's some well-known ones where driver has to give valid ID, the truck and trailer number have to match up with the one that are provided, has to come in with full tanks, cannot stop within 250 miles of the shipper. Because again, I feel like most cargo crime syndicates, yes, they might follow, but like they want to stay local, they want to liquidate it, because it's like getting the goods is one thing, but they got to get rid of the goods equally as fast, right? So it's like that's why there's a lot of those known things that are out there, but there's also some other ones behind the scenes that the people who are only involved in the shipment are going to be privy to. And I mean, you're right, with it being a team, and it's like you cannot stop, like you have to go full tanks. And and with most of these things, man, because like have you guys seen the data out there where it's like what percentage of cargo theft happens within a certain mile radius of the loading or offloading point?
Yeah, typically, I mean, there's always been that 250 to 300 mile is kind of that the red zone, they call it, where most incidents will happen within that. But that's obviously just a gauge. Some theft will happen outside of that area too. I mean, as we adapt to different security procedures, the bad guys do the same thing. Like a lot of people on your show has said before, they adapt to what new security protocols we're doing and shifting how they have their theft tactics. So we have to keep on monitoring that from day to day and week to week, and it changes constantly. So
how does this process work, right? Like say I'm a high value shipper and I got, luxury something in there, not Chris Jolly and luxury isn't exactly synonymous, but, say I'm out there, I got, high value cargo. How does this process work? How do I work with you to ensure that I have all my ducks in a row as a shipper, as a manufacturer? Are you out there assessing the driver that is sent in? If there's a broker that's involved, kind of walk us through that process.
Yeah, both scenarios. So we'll work with the shipper or the broker, the logistics company working directly with that shipper, and just sit down with them and understand, first of all, obviously understand what the product is, what the risk is. Look at the lane that they're transporting those in, or lanes that they're transporting those in. Look at the risk factors that go along with those lanes that they're going in, because obviously no one lane is the same with risk. So understanding the risks that are going with that, and then really kind of understand their SOP or their standard operating procedure as far as how they want to be notified if something gets escalated. Walking through that all prior to even us, quoting out a lane for cargo escorts, understanding all that information first prior to us kind of getting into an agreement with everything going on. That's kind of the first stage, understanding, making sure we're all on the same page that, hey, shipper A is going to be different than shipper B as far as their SOPs needed for their security, whether the freight is a different rate, pharmaceuticals are treated different than electronics, and those kind of things. So understanding really kind of what the relationship is and the risk tolerance of the freight is.
So are you guys out there like doing an on-site risk assessment at some of these facilities? And again, obviously there's only so much you can answer, Nick, because I'm sure, but are you guys going in there and are you guys like monitoring the facilities, checking it out? Like what's your guys' response plan and really putting together a whole thing? Because I feel like now where some of these there's probably some companies out there, Nick, that their freight, their commodity, their products weren't necessarily on the radar for theft. And now with it really kind of growing, and I think that some companies out there are going to be like, hey, I think we need to look at our processes here. So are you guys contacting companies? Are you guys working with companies like that and kind of like going on site and being like, this is a risk, we need to do X, Y, and Z? Is that really the kind of like the bulk of where you guys are at?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're looking at the assessment, and they may not even require cargo escorts for their loads possibly, but just looking at the risk assessment of their lanes, of their facilities, making sure they, assistance with security processes to have in place for their drivers, for their, for the trucking companies that are coming on their properties. So we assist with a lot of that, just so they have an understanding, hey, we might only be moving, 150,000 hour loads, but that's their 150,000 hour load, but understanding, hey, we don't want to lose any loads, right? No company wants to lose a load. So understanding, making sure that they have the right processes, security processes in place to really kind of, manage that accordingly.
What do you guys consider high value cargo, right? Because I think like there's varying definitions of it, because, like inside of like where I play with a lot of the flatbed freight and stuff like that, like it's very standard to get $250,000, $300,000 cargo value shipments that are out there. What do you guys consider high value cargo? And is there like kind of that threshold where you guys advise people like, hey, if it's above this, these are the steps you should follow?
Yeah, and it kind of falls into two things. Obviously, those high value loads that you said. I mean, obviously, your insurance company believes those are high value, right? So if you lose a $300,000 load, that's a big hit, right? But really, kind of where we come in with cargo escorts is that $1 million, $2 million load is really kind of the threshold and above, where we kind of really makes sense to have that cargo escort with it. But again, it's not only the value of the commodity, it's the sensitivity of the commodity sometimes. So it could be, a $150,000 load, very sensitive in the fact that if it doesn't make it to a location, then it disrupts the build out of a facility, setback of production, those kind of things. So not necessarily, an exact dollar amount, because we've escorted lower loads, but just time sensitive, and kind of, in nature of, as far as, hey, one of one kind of thing, with, fine art and those kind of things. So definitely doesn't need to be, ultra high net worth, freight, but it could be definitely something that's sensitive that needs to be moved and can't have anything get compromised.
No, I completely agree. How does this help prevent theft? Like in the sense of like when there's escorts on there, like do you have any like real life examples you can give about like, hey, we were in this one scenario, this is how it prevented it?
Yeah, kind of an interesting one. Again, it was before I kind of came on board, but talking with my operations folks, I was kind of asking, talking with them. There was an incident where our truck, it was a high value freight. It was multi-million-dollar load. I believe it was electronics, moving down the highway. Our escorts noticed a vehicle that had been with them for a long time, over 100 miles. Not uncommon. Somebody going the same route. But just kind of, they looked a little suspicious. The truck drivers noticed them as well. They communicated, and they were able to kind of call into the state police in that region. Reported that, hey, kind of suspicious. It did end up being someone that did have ties to cargo theft. It was a crew that had 3 or 4 folks in the car. And so they were able to do a kind of a stop, somehow do a stop on it. Our load kind of continued to go. So again, not knowing, if they were going to try to attempt to steal anything out of the truck there, but it was something where our escorts always have eyes on, their surroundings, aware. They're all former law enforcement, former military. So they're very situational awareness is huge for them. So when they see something that's out of the ordinary, it might be nothing, but it might be something. So it's kind of that whole see something, say something kind of thing, where we really kind of take that into account for every load we do.
Yeah, I think that one thing that I've kind of realized, the older that I get, is sometimes the most least suspecting individuals are the ones who are the most guilty of being tied into a lot of this stuff, right? So it's like, kind of keeping your head on a swivel with a lot of that stuff. And really, for me, it's like, I look at stuff like this, Nick, and I also think about like, man, how are you locking up your house at night? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, do you have a process that you follow? Do you have a security system in place? What technology are you using to monitor a lot of this as well? Because, I've done my research on it, man, nothing. And like, 99% or it was 90% of home invasions are thwarted by the sound of a dog barking. And it's like, that has been like the most tried and true method that was out there, because, we're at a point now where it's like, dude, there's so much technology, there's so much stuff out there, but technology can fail. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. Like, why can't you in today's day and age just rely on technology at this point, right? Like you guys are talking about, you guys have physical sets of eyes on the truck. You have the drivers who are monitoring, the drivers notice that car, your team noticed that car. Why do we put people on it when we could just put like a chip in the trailer, or, you know, why is technology not the kind of the thing for this part?
Yeah, we definitely work hand in hand with technology. So there's definitely, I mean, obviously a place for technology, and it gives a lot of good data information. And we actually help implement a lot of the tracking technology for our clients. You know, placing it, having the escorts, placing it in the product, and those kind of things. We monitor those devices as well. But really, if a problem happens, the tracking devices aren't able to call the authorities. Having eyes on the reaction time of having eyes on it, on the ground, boots on the ground, if you will, allows our escorts to really act in real time, where there might be some delay with technology, or technology not working, or those kind of things. There's always, again, two sets of eyes on there, the protocols in place with a monitoring center, and those kind of things that, keeping multiple eyes and on the ground is huge. So definitely there's a human and technology element that needs to come together on both ends. It's not one or the other. It's both together, and that really makes a strong supply chain security program, and keeps everything safe.
No, so like, are you guys like, obviously some of these guys who are out there, Nick, that are in the high value cargo or like the high theft cargo space, like they probably already have plans in place out there. But like, what type of freight do you guys advise like you should have a cargo escort on it? Is it like auto parts? Is it just alcohol, firearms, stuff like that? Or what are some of those high theft commodities?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the cargo theft data, CargoNet puts out great information on all that information. But pharma, electronics, food and beverage are big things. Obviously, sometimes the food and beverage isn't going to meet a threshold, but really, with the semiconductors and those kind of things, those are really being the things that are increasing. Obviously, the size of tech is getting smaller, so they're getting more on a trailer, right? So cell phones and those kind of things, consumer electronics is really a big thing. But specialty kind of things with different firearms and those kind of things, that those are different sensitivity and those kind of things. But the sensitive things where it needs to get mission critical kind of things that need to get to destination are huge, and that's where you really kind of require another set of eyes and another layer of security.
How are the costs determined on this? Like how would somebody expect? I mean, obviously I'm assuming multiple people armed, all of that. Like there's different thresholds that kind of come along with this. So is there like kind of like a base number to kind of put in people's mind on what this might look like?
Yeah, when really evaluating that, we sit down with the shipper, with the broker, understand, hey, what the lane is, what the hourly rate essentially is going to be, from point A to point B. Unarmed and unarmed is going to change that cost as well. And then ultimately, if it's a last minute kind of thing too, that's going to, so if hey, it's going to leave on Friday. Today's Wednesday. If it's going to leave on Friday, that's a kind of a normal lead time for us to put our teams together and those kind of things. But if you say, hey, Nick, I got a load going out here later on this afternoon, well, that's more of a same day kind of thing, and costs a little bit different than something that is going out in a couple of days. So those are some different factors that go into determining costs and those kind of things. Obviously, we have a set rate, but sometimes, as you know, logistics isn't a perfect world as far as on-time deliveries and those kind of things. So sometimes they go on over. So there's the accessorial charges for those, but those are all explained up front when we work with the shipper or the broker.
Do you guys have people on retainer? Like I'm thinking like high value cargo coming through the ports, for example, right? Like TVs, electronics, like you brought up, like iPhones and stuff like that. Do you guys have people on retainer at those ports that are just jockeying with the trucks, kind of pulling those cans in and out of there? Because, it's a lot easier to work with some of those larger brands, I'm assuming, Nick, who are like, hey, we got 100 containers landing in the next 30 days. Do you guys just stick rotating teams on that? Because some of these ports operate 24/7. The receiver might be 24/7, stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll work. Yeah, that would be like a perfect project.
Yeah.
If we know a project is kind of coming up, and obviously we're getting in a busy season here with peak season. We're kind of in the midst of it, I guess, right? But with peak season kind of coming up, that's huge for projects. And hey, we know that there's going to be 20 loads coming out of this location. We have teams set up and are able to handle that. So yeah, definitely understand the logistics, because we have logistics folks on our team that understand how everything works with that. And then security, ramping up our teams so that we have enough coverage to handle whatever volume that might be. So absolutely.
How do you guys handle, like, I don't know, the known bad areas of cities and stuff like that? Like, are you guys going ahead? Like, I'm just trying to think, because it's like some of these routes that you're out there, man, like you're not going to divert 300 miles out of route to avoid a certain area. I mean, you might on some instances, but like, I feel like with a lot of the shipments that you see out there, there's got to be known choke points of like high criminal activity zones in certain cities and certain areas and stuff like that. So kind of like, how do you guys handle those?
Yeah, and yeah, definitely those areas. So there are definitely no stop zones in areas like that where they're not stopping. I mean, we're making sure that everybody has enough fuel prior to getting into those areas, and that's why the route planning comes into play. So we know that, hey, we need to stop here. Definitely for the escorts vehicle to stop for fuel prior to getting to that area. But we need to know, hey, everybody be on high alert for this certain area and understand those risks in certain areas. So definitely something we plan for. And we're not, we're always looking, because those choke points or those areas of red zones are always changing constantly, because obviously, like I said earlier, the bad guys adapt. So understanding those and constantly being aware of those and making our team aware of those, and understanding how to logistically maneuver that is key.
What do you wish more people knew about some emerging threats that you guys have identified, and how could they potentially get ahead of it?
Well, I think the big thing out there, right, is knowing who's hauling your freight. I know you've had plenty of people on here about the fraud. I mean, that's everywhere, right? So the fraud of like, hey, MC numbers and those kind of things. Just knowing, taking the steps of knowing who's hauling your freight, because I think that's been a huge uptick in theft and misdirection of just not knowing who the carrier is, and saying it's Chris Jolly coming, and Nick shows up, but I say I'm Chris Jolly. That's a bad thing, and we need to I think companies need to understand, like, hey, slow down a little bit, understand who's use the tools that are out there to vet carriers and those kind of things, and understand who you're doing business with. And honestly, picking up the phone and making sure that you're talking with the folks in in-person visits. I know you're huge with that on your carriers and those kind of things. But just knowing who you're dealing with is a half the battle. So understanding that is key to preventing a lot of the stuff from even happening.
What would you advise for some of the carriers that are out there who are like, hey, I want to get more involved in this? How would they become more appealing to maybe a company like you to have a strategic partnership? Or I don't even know if you guys do this, but I was, just trying to think here, like, man, if I'm a high value cargo, or if I have that insurance, if I have those SOPs and those capabilities, how would I get attention from somebody like you guys to possibly show like, hey man, we're real deal?
Yeah, that's key, because I really think security can help sell, right? So if you show that you are checking all the boxes, just like safety, right? Safety is a culture. I kind of preach that security should be a culture in companies too, trucking companies and shipping companies and brokers, everything. Just having that security culture is key. Just because then your customers are going to see, hey, you're taking that serious. You're taking safety and security seriously. You can really promote that and get in front of customers and be like, hey, you give us your load. We're going to make sure that it's going to get there, intact, hopefully on time, and those kind of things. So I think just working with all the industry councils out there and security councils out there that are out there that, get the certifications, do the due diligence and work with, all the different companies out there to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And that's going to help really kind of promote your company to your clients.
Oh, I love it. Nick, thank you so much for your time today, man. How does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more about what you got going on?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. Nick Erdmann, Vectura Risk Management. Follow our page for updates on new stuff and new tactics out there. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So feel free to reach out.
Perfect. Nick, thank you so much for joining me today. That's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling really ambitious after this one, which you should be, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you saw value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang. Window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas. Pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the back. Hey, got the foot on the gas. Pedal to the metal when the lane